You're wasting your time running workshops or challenges if you ever only run them once. I want you to think about what goes into building one: the slides, the promotion plan, the email sequences, the tech setup, all of the landing pages and run throughs. That is weeks of work sitting behind a single live event. You run it once, you get results that maybe didn't quite land the way you hoped, or maybe they did, and then you move on to something else. And all of that effort was kind of a waste. The time is gone, and you're stuck starting from scratch next time you want to run a live event. The system I'm walking you through in this episode is built to run on repeat, monthly or quarterly, with the same core workshop improving every single round. It's not about reinventing every time, it's about refinement. This repeatable live workshop system is one that I've been focusing on with my coaching clients this year, and for good reason. While industry average conversion rates for live launches and evergreen funnels sit at 1 to 3%, what I've consistently experienced from actually running this system in the trenches with my clients are conversion rates on average between 12 and 18% once we're through the optimization process, and climbing up to even 26% for one of them recently. This is the power of optimization and sticking with one strategy until you get it figured out. So let's talk about what the system actually is. It's a repeatable monthly workshop that does two things at the same time. It both grows your audience and sells your offer. You run one workshop on a monthly or quarterly cadence, and each round builds on the last. It works best with a leveraged offer. Think a course, a group program, or a membership, something where there's no real cap on the number of people that you can take on at once. If you're selling high touch one-on-one work, there is a variation of this that works for you too, and I'll walk through it as we go. So just remember that this is a 3-part series, and today we're covering the first 2 phases: planning your workshop topic and building your sign-up system. Phase 2 is where we get into your workshop content and full promotion plan, and phase 3 is all about delivering the workshop, following up, and then optimizing the whole thing so it runs better every single round. Every single phase builds on the one before it. So if you're watching this first one, you're in the right place. One thing that I want to flag before we get into it: we are planning out your content today, even though we're not building it until phase 2. That is intentional. You need to know what you're covering, what your core promise is, what path you're taking people on before you can even write a registration page or a sales page if you're doing a paid workshop that converts. The sign-up system and content plan have to be built from the same foundation. So we're doing that groundwork now, and you'll be ready to hit the ground running in phase 2. So let's start with step number 1: planning your workshop title, topic, and format. All right, so step 1 is to plan your workshop topic. We want to come up with something. A topic that you choose will shape everything downstream. It will determine who shows up, who's interested in it, how warm people are when they get there, and how naturally the conversation moves towards your offer at the end. So before we start building anything, this is a decision to really sit with and get right and be intentional about. Priority number 1 is to start with brainstorming your topic. So the best workshop topics live at the intersection of 2 things: what your audience tells you that they want and what leads naturally into the offer you're going to be selling. When those 2 things overlap, you're going to get a room full of people who are already primed to hear about your offer before you ever even make the pitch. There are 4 angles worth exploring as you brainstorm. Start with what your audience thinks they need. So what are they telling you? What results are they craving? Even if you know there's a deeper problem underneath. The surface level desire is often the best entry point for a workshop title, even if the teaching goes deeper than that or a slightly different direction. Then ask whether there's a prerequisite problem. Is there something that your audience needs to work on before they're fully ready for your main offer? A workshop that solves that first step can be one of the most effective bridges into what you sell. Your signature framework is another rich source for topics here. You could go deep on one aspect of it or give people a survey across the entire thing. Either way, you're teaching your methodology, which makes your offer at the end, which follows that same signature process, feel like the natural next step. And if you've run a workshop before that got great results and connects to what you sell, that is worth revisiting. You don't always need a new idea. Sometimes the strongest topic is one that you've already proven and thought of. Priority number two is to make a decision, right? So after you've done all that brainstorming, our next step is to narrow down to four things. We want your topic, your title, your subtitle, and the core promise of the workshop. So let's talk about the topic. That is the subject. The title is what people see when they decide whether to register. The subtitle adds specificity or context. And the core problem is the one clear outcome that someone walks away with when they attend and go through it. The title is where most people undersell themselves. We want a title that names a specific desirable outcome and that's going to convert better than a broad topic. So content strategy is a topic, but plan a month of content in 1 hour is a title that would get you a sign up. That's a result that we're talking about here. The core promise is the anchor for everything you teach, and it should connect directly to your paid offer. So the transition to your pitch feels natural and like an obvious next step. A couple of extra things and tips related to this. Number one, start with repeatability. So repeatability matters more than novelty. A repeatable topic is something that your audience could want to come back to more than once, either because it's something they need to revisit regularly or it becomes almost functions like a ritual or a routine. One of my clients in the PR space runs a pitch sprint workshop and people come back to it every single time. She has people who attend it all the time, even if they end up buying the offer. And this is because pitching is an ongoing job. It's not a one-time fix. Another one of my clients runs a 5-day Pilates restart challenge that her audience does again and again and again because it's the restart itself, which is the promise and the value. So when you're brainstorming, I want you to ask yourself and challenge yourself as much as possible. Is this something that my audience would want to return to? The latter is what makes this system compound without just relying on new signups every time. We're going to be able to invite your audience again and again too. Number two is to root your messaging in what your people say they actually want. This is where market research really pays off. The language that your audience uses to describe their own problem, what they want, pulled directly from survey responses, discovery calls, or even DMs, is almost always more compelling than anything that you could possibly write from scratch. So if someone tells you, I never know what to pitch or who to send it to, that is good little nuggets for your title. If they say, I start strong and fall off by day 3, that could be a subtitle or an objection there. The more your title and promise sound like something your audience would say out loud, the better your registrations are going to be. People want to recognize themselves and their language and their thoughts. You want it to feel like I'm in their head, right? Because you're using their words. Priority number 3 is to choose between free versus paid. And this is probably the question I get the most, is analysis paralysis, stopping people from moving forward because they can't choose between it. The truth is that both approaches work, but the right one is going to depend on where you are in your business right now. Free workshops have a lower barrier to entry. More people are going to sign up. Your cost per lead is typically lower, and so you're going to need less ad budget to fill the room and hit your numbers. The trade-off is that a free workshop can attract people who are primarily interested in free content, so your conversion rates are likely going to be lower. Then we have paid workshops, which are going to attract more serious buyers. The act of paying creates commitment and a buyer mindset that shows up in the room and is reflected in the conversion rate. My own paid workshop converts at 20 to 25%, but the trade-off is a smaller audience and a higher ad budget requirement. Just a rule of thumb here is that you want to be spending 2 to 3 times the ticket price when you're promoting a paid workshop. So if your workshop is $25, that's $50 to $75 a day. Here are 5 factors for making the right decision for you. One is going to be your goal. So if you are primarily trying to grow your audience and your list, I want you to start free. If your list is already established and you're focused on generating more sales, a paid workshop is worth testing. Next up is your list size. So if you have fewer than 500 to 1,000 subscribers, start free, right? We want to build your list first and then shift. Next up is your budget. So paid workshops require an ad budget of 2 to 3 times the ticket price per day for at least a week or two of promotion. So again, if your workshop is like 27 bucks, you're going to plan for $55 to $80 per day in the ad spend minimum. So factor that in before you commit to a paid model. Next up is offer validation. So if your offer already sells organically and gets strong client results, you're ready for paid lead generation. If you are still testing the offer, build your proof first with a free workshop, and your product ecosystem is the final consideration here. If you have complementary offers that you can add as order bumps and upsells on the paid registration page, the paid model can be profitable from registration alone because you're going to be able to increase the average order value. The recommendation that I give most clients, and this really depends on your exact situation, is to start with free. Run the system until it is proven and the conversion rate is consistent. Then shift to paid once you know the workshop converts, you've raised a bit of capital or have the money to invest in paid ads and have the data to back it up. Step 2 is your workshop content and sign up system. The goal of this step is to build everything once, right? Every round after this is just updating the details, refining what's already there, and you're doing it in a specific order because you can actually start taking registrations and signups before your workshop content is fully built. Priority 1 is to map out your content. So before you open a slide deck or design a workbook page, the content needs a clear structure. Everything starts with the promise and the path. So pull your workshop title, your subtitle, your core promise from the planning work you just did in step 1. Then you're going to map out 3 things: where your audience currently is, the problem that brought them to your registration to this workshop in the first place, where they want to be, so the result or desire that made them sign up, and the path that you're going to take them on from one end to the other. The path is your workshop structure. For each section of that path, use the head, hearts, hands framework to make sure that your content is doing 3 things. Head is the concept or idea, what you're teaching. Heart is the story, the struggle, the moment it lands emotionally. And hands is the template, the exercise, the tool, the work that they're going to be doing in this workshop to apply it. A workshop that hits all 3 of these is one that people are going to remember, save, talk about, and be ready to buy from. Once your structure is mapped out, you're going to build the bridge to your offer. How does this workshop connect to what you're selling? Why is your offer the next step once someone finishes the workshop? And where can you drop a passing mention, what I call product placement, using client examples, using stories through the teaching itself? That's product placement. And what makes the pitch at the end feel really like a natural continuation of the workshop rather than like a hard left turn out of nowhere. Then you're going to draft your workshop messaging. So this is what you're going to use across your opt-in page or sales page, your promo emails, your social content. I want you to nail down 3 to 5 things attendees are going to learn or discover from this. The one unexpected insight or reframe, why now is the right time to attend and why you're the right person to teach it. So finally, you're going to pull all that together into your launch event one-liner, an event type for audience to help you transform. Simple, specific, something that you can repeat everywhere throughout the sign-up system. Priority number 2 is to set up that sign-up system. So this is where a lot of people wait too long, but your sign-up system can go live right away, even before your content is finished. You don't need all of that done before starting to get registrations. So we need a registration page, either a paid or a free one, and it needs a clear title, specific outcome, and a date, a headline, and 3 to 5 bullet points covering what attendees are going to walk away with. We also want your thank you page. So this is more valuable than most people realize. We want a short 3 to 4 questionnaire that does 2 things at once. It's going to help you come up with the exact language your audience is using to describe their problem, which becomes the raw material for your sales emails, and it gives you a preview of what most people want from the workshop before you even run it. We also want the sign-up system, like the technicality stuff, like the tag, the form, the checkout page if you're doing a paid one, that connects to your email platform. Every person who signs up should be tagged and flow into the right sequence automatically from the moment they sign up. And the final piece is your welcome email, which goes out immediately upon registration. Should include the date, the link, and one thing to look forward to, plus a Power PS that includes a reminder to fill out the questionnaire. Clients hire me specifically to help them build out this workshop system. We do the whole thing together: the build phase, the promo phase, the sales sequence, and most importantly, the optimization process. I am in their corner as they run those first rounds, and we optimize it together using the real data from their actual audience and workshop. This is one of the things we do inside of your signature scaling system. It is a 3 or 12-month coach consulting partnership where we build your custom scaling strategy together. We take your offer, your audience, your lifestyle factors, and we design a business model that generates consistent revenue without requiring you to work constantly or reinvent the wheel every single month. This monthly workshop system is just one of the tools, one of the strategies that we use within that container to help you hit those goals consistently without adding a ton of extra work to your plate. This is not a group program where you apply generic strategies to your unique situation. It's super personalized, strategic guidance built around your business, your goals, and your actual capacity. If you would like support pulling this system together and someone in your corner as you run your first rounds, you can book a free strategy call over at yourcontentempire.com/coaching. I'm going to pop the link in the description below as well. That is everything for part 1. You've got a clear process for locking in your workshop topic and getting your sign-up system. And once you've done that, you're ready for phase 2, where things are going to get really good. So we're building out your full workshop content, writing your promo emails, and mapping out the promo plan that's going to help you fill that digital room. So that is where the momentum starts to happen. So make sure to catch part 2.